but what we try to do is once a year, me and Anna try to go away, and the reason we try to go away is to celebrate, our wedding anniversary. And we've been doing it now for we've been married for 2 years, so we've been doing it for 2 years, and so we try. Makes sense. We've been doing that, and this year what we wanted to do was because we heard light of Singapore Airlines taking advantage of a deal that went on with Singapore Airlines. So we're like, okay, we might as well go and take advantage because this plane was flying to all these places in Southeast Asia. So we're like, you know what, let's make a trip out of it. This is our kind of our once a year getaway trip. And of course, I can never turn down an opportunity to tell you about my trip through the medium of a sermon and get away with it. So that's what today is. As you probably guessed, today's message is called Lessons That I've Learned from Southeast Asia. And the whole thing really happened because a couple of months ago we heard about this special from Singapore Airlines, and yes, they really do dress like that. When I first saw the uniform on Singapore Airlines, I thought, oh, like are these, what's going on here? But that's their uniform. And we decided, okay, since we're going out there to Southeast Asia, what we want to do is try to come up with various locations that we can go to. And of course, we started to chart all this out, and we opened up a map, and we said, okay, well, where do we want to go? And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're like, if we're out there, we might as try and head as much as we can. And so on the list was, number one was obviously Thailand. We've been wanting to go there for a few years now. And other places include places like Laos, because we're like, wow, Laos sounds good, let's check that out. And Cambodia, and Vietnam, and Malaysia, and then Singapore, and then Indonesia. And then we realized we just took all of Southeast Asia, and that wasn't physically possible in 14 days. So what we did was, and thank God for this little old website that we refer to called Google, we started doing all this research. We're like, okay, let's really do research on these locations. Where do we want to go? How long do we want to stay there? There's another site that travelers use all the time. We love this site, tripadvisor.com. It'll let you know where to stay and rank the hotels and all this kind of stuff. And literally after weeks of research, weeks and weeks and weeks of every night trying to coordinate flight times and how we're going to get there to where and how we're going to turn around and what airline we're going to take and where we're going to stay when we get there and all this kind of stuff, we decided on our trip. And this was our itinerary. Number one, we're going to visit Singapore. Of course, from Singapore, we're going to visit Bali, Indonesia. And then from there, we're going to visit Thailand and spend 3 places in Thailand. In Phuket, in Koh Samui, and of course in Bangkok. And so we had this thing ready to go, plans made, took forever to do, and there we go. And that's where really the first lesson starts. And the lesson that God kind of spoke to me through this planning process was the importance of deliberate action. Everybody say deliberate action. In other words, having a specific plan, but not just having the plan, following through on it. I mean, so many people just go through life and they say, whatever is, is. In other words, you go through life and you say, well, whatever happens, happens, whatever may be, and they wake up in the morning with no real purpose for their life. They wake up in the morning going through the motions, going through their days without deliberately taking any action to accomplish anything. And that's life. They just go through the motions. See, we could have just said, you know what, we bought our tickets, that's good. Let's just go and see what happens. But what would have ended up with the trip? We'd have not done any of the things we need to do. We wouldn't know where to go and all this kind of stuff. And so, I mean, guys, we got to think about this. We had to carefully plan every single day, but not just plan it. We actually had to take actions in order to make sure that it came to pass. And there's so many people living in the land of what I call what could be if only. Let me tell you what I mean. There's so many people in the world today, and maybe you in this church are saying, well, if only I can catch a break, then everything will be good for me. If only, such and such happens and everything works out well, if only things would change in my life, then I'll go after the things that I really feel like going after. Or in other words, I will stop procrastinating when all of a sudden, things work out perfectly, and that'll probably happen tomorrow. Over and over and over again. That's how people live their lives. Look, stop living with a hopeful expectation of what could be and go after it and make it what is. Now, I don't know if that makes sense, but it sounds darn good, so I took credit for it. So let me say it again. Stop living with a hopeful expectation vision of what could be, but instead go after it and make it what is. That does make sense. That's good, isn't it? So many people are hoping that one day everything will be just great, you know? But no one's actually going after. Look, here's the truth. If you want to lose weight, what do you got to do? Hit the gym. Make it happen. Eat the diet. Whatever you want to do. I don't know how you're going to do, but whatever you got to do, you got to do it. If you want to get that job you want, you're not going to get it unless you take deliberate action in order to move forward to make it happen. Even Jesus came on this earth with a purpose. And with that purpose, he took deliberate action every single day to make that purpose happen. I mean, let's look at it here. Luke 4:18 and 19. And we know the verse, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Why? Because he's anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, and to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. And then question, what did he go out and do every single day? That. He took deliberate action. That when he woke up, he says, I know my purpose and I'm going to make it happen. That's why Habakkuk 2:2 says this. Then the Lord answered to me and said, write the vision and make it plain on the tablets that he may run who reads it. In other words, know your vision, know your purpose, and then run with it. The vision by itself is not enough. I mean, I was out there in beautiful Thailand and all of these things, and I realized that there were many parts of my life that I was just hoping would work out. I figured, look, I have the vision. Amen. I'm a big vision guy. I have this huge vision. Not only do I have the vision, but I have the plan in order to accomplish the vision. And I thought, as long as I have my vision, and as long as I have my plan, I'm good. Now, I'll even take it a step further, and I even added faith to the mix. I said, I have my vision, I have my plan, and now I have faith. So obviously it's going to happen, right? But then we forget the Bible says that faith without what is dead? Works. Or in other words, faith without action is dead. I had the vision, I had the plan, but none of it was going to happen unless I took deliberate action. And that's what the Lord was speaking to me when I was out there. You know, we can hope that this church grows, and I know everybody in this church is hoping that this church grows, but listen to me. This church ain't going to grow unless each and every one of us take deliberate action in order to make it happen. People are saying, well, I wish this church was better. I wish something happened. You know, I wish we could see the change. Look, it ain't going to happen unless me and you together, and us as a church family, decide that we're going to take deliberate action. And no, deliberate action does not mean complaining or talking about stuff or just hoping. So you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. And so we need to come together and make this happen. Whatever you want in life will only happen when you take deliberate action every single day. Turn the person beside you and say, deliberate action. Man, if you look through the Gospels, what are Jesus' two favorite words? He says it all the time, over and over and over again. When you look at Jesus, two of his very favorite words are very short words. It's go or come. Every time he talked to the disciples, he said go. Go and make disciples. Go, and as you go, heal the sick. Go, 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 go. Always to the disciples, get up and go. Deliberate action. Now, to the people who weren't disciples, who needed healing or who needed something from Jesus, what was his word to them? Come. You need something? Take action. Come. Come here and I will heal you. Come here and I will bless you. Come and I will feed you. The people who didn't get blessed, remember, in his own town of Nazareth, were not the people who didn't have faith, were the people who didn't come. The people who didn't take deliberate action. So we got to take deliberate action to make things happen. Moving on. Now, the duration of our trip, or during our trip, we actually were on 11 different planes and we stayed in 7 different locations. It was actually a little bit crazy. Let me show you our route. Here's a good old world map. And first we went from Toronto to New York, 2 hours. From New York to Frankfurt, Germany, 9 hours. From Frankfurt, Germany to Singapore, 13 hours. From Singapore to Bangkok, another 2 hours. Now, because of a mishap in our planning, which we didn't execute properly, we had to go from Bangkok back to Singapore. It's like we took a 2-hour flight to Singapore, so we took a 2-hour flight from Singapore to Bangkok, and then we're like, oh man, we got to go back to Singapore. So we waited for 30 minutes, got back on a plane, and went back there to Singapore, where we spent 3 days. Now, from Singapore, we went over to Bali, which we spent 4 nights in, and from Bali, we went back to Singapore. And then from Singapore,